Two moms, two marketers, two women new to the financial industry. They have a lot of questions. That's why they're bringing in financial experts to educate all of us here on A Penny or Two for Your Thoughts.
Hey everyone, Chantel and Liz. Another episode of A Penny or Two for Your Thoughts.
You did it.
I did it. I haven't done it.
It's been a long time, probably a year
Yeah.
since you've been able to get that intro.
Yes. Our last episode, I was off the rails. Also, now that I'm looking at my outfit, I may have wore the same outfit.
I had to go back. I actually went back and watched yesterday because I was like, well, what did I
that's
wear?
smart.
And I was like, oh, that shirt, which is what I had planned on wearing today. So I didn't want to make it look like that would have been funny. Had I worn the same shirt, then it would have looked like we recorded 2 podcast episodes. And then people would have thought we had our stuff together.
That's what we are doing, and you just changed your clothes because you're so bougie.
Well, and I spilled because that's normal.
Yes. All right. We've entered the month of October.
As of today?
As of today. Today.
Delicious.
We ask this question every year. It's Halloween-y monthy.
It is Halloween-y monthy.
What's your favorite candy that you like to get
Ooh.
when you're trick-or-treating?
Yes.
Hey, every listener, Liz still trick-or-treats. It's fine.
It's fine.
She's fine.
Thankfully, I have a 5-year-old that I can use as a decoy. You know, it would have to be like the trick-or-treat candy, and I don't know why I don't ever go buy this actual candy bar, but for whatever reason, in the trick-or-treat bag, if it's the 100 grand.
Is that the one with the pretzel and all the things
It's like
in
all the
it?
things in it. Yeah,
Yes.
It's got everything in it. I don't know why I've never just bought a candy bar because I love it, but for some reason, that's always the first thing I'll grab out of her bag. Please
This
don't
was a
listen to this, Augie.
psychological test for you because I remember you saying that last year, and I was asking that question again just to see if you answer the same. I'm totally making that up, but
I was like, did I answer? Is that what I said last year?
I do remember.
I
I'm
probably
having
do.
massive deja vu right now.
You would be like, did they just take last year's episode and repurpose it?
Oh,
What's yours?
I really enjoyed a Butterfinger. Okay, let me talk you through this.
Okay.
Butterfinger, I
Yeah.
love them.
They
Have
are delicious.
you had the little nuggets of Butterfinger in a box that are not wrapped? They're just little
No.
nuggets of them. They don't taste right.
Okay.
I don't know if they're not wrapped or sealed or whatever, but they don't taste right.
Does it not have the right
I
insideness
don't
to the
know.
chocolateness?
I don't know, but I'm not happy about it. And our guests are sitting here just giggling at us and looking at us like you're fools.
Like, when are you going to introduce
Yeah.
us so that you're not wasting our time
uh-huh.
anymore? Yeah.
We got things to do.
We've got stuff, especially, yeah.
Well, anyway, Butterfingers are delicious and
So we're 100 grand.
not in the box.
So this is for all my neighborhood peeps that probably don't listen to the show, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Make sure you fill your buckets with 100 grand so I can pick one. That's all I'm going to throw out there.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to do this.
Okay, we're going to, yeah,
Before our guests leave.
before they get up and walk away.
I've got better things to do in my life.
Or we get arrested. One of the two.
Ooh.
Oh.
Was that
Was a hint.
Ooh. All right.
They're all looking at each other like,
they're
who's
scared.
going to do
They're
that?
so scared. Oh my God.
All right. Well, here's the deal, listeners. We've got a full panel today. I mean, full.
Biggest we've ever had.
My leg is in one of the table legs, one of our guests' legs. He's like into a table leg. Chantel's about to fall off the stage.
It is fantastic. I love it.
We all have our own mics, so we don't have our fun headsets today. So we all have to make sure we're within 6 inches of the mic. So if you can't hear us, it's probably because we're leaning back and having a good time. But let's get to this. This is truly the record number of guests we've had on one episode, because I don't think we've had 3 guests at once.
Nope.
And I got to be honest, these 3 are just kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we couldn't have a more powerful episode for you today. 2 of the guests are just repeat offenders of the show. You guys see what I did there?
I did.
Yeah,
Like that.
that's
Like
good
it.
stuff.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. These 2 work hard every single day, or they make it look like they do, to protect our members and Centris. No, they really do. They really do a good job, and they protect our members. We want to welcome back to the show Ash Goodsell, who's our senior BSA Fraud Investigator. Such an awesome title. And Michelle Vybiral, our AVP, Strategic Risk Management. Welcome back, ladies.
Excited to be
Thank
back.
you.
Fancy.
Now, like I said, we have a full panel, so there's one more guest I have to introduce, and he's a newbie to the show. Not a newbie to podcasts, though. We learned that. He's been with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office for 18 years and in the investigative division for roughly 8 years. So we are all going to try to be on our best behavior today. Please welcome to the show, Deputy Mike Dechellis.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I was a little hurt that nobody commented on my outfit earlier on.
Oh.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. If you're wondering, the shirt is vintage, and I am the original purchaser, which tells you something about my status as a aging middle-aged man. So
You know what?
Have you worn it on a podcast, though?
I have not.
Okay, so there
First
you
time.
go. First time.
First time wearing it. I'm impressed. How many podcasts have you actually been on, do you think?
2 to 3 episodes of the same podcast.
Wow.
All right.
Gosh. We got a lot to live up to, ladies.
We do.
Right. I'm looking at both of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
pressure.
Yeah.
Try.
No pressure. Zero pressure.
Well, welcome to our podcast. I already
Thank you.
said the name of it before, so I'm not going to do it again because
Nope.
I usually stumble all over it.
Yeah.
So there's
and
that.
then I'd have to come in and we'd probably start bantering again. It'd be all weird.
It's all weird.
But we said it was October 1st, which is the first day of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is perfect timing to have this episode. We planned it, don't worry. But we really want to address, cybersecurity risk and how we can help people address the important matter, just having conversations with our family, with our friends. That's why we've got you three here, and so we just kind of want to dive right into that and get started. So, Mike, since these two lovely ladies have already given their background, their past, we know where they come from, and if listeners, you want to hear about that, you can revert back to some of those episodes. But Mike, we just kind of want to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you were first tasked to focus on financial crimes, and what your team primarily focuses on today.
Well, I was born and raised in Western Pennsylvania. Joined the Air Force out of high school. Didn't love it. Ended up staying in Nebraska despite that. Ultimately got a job with the Sheriff's Office. Spent slightly over a decade working night shift and the evening shift there on road patrol. Eventually wanted some new challenges, transitioned into working in the investigative division, and I've been there 7 or 8 years since then.
Nice.
So I've done everything from mailbox murders to actual murders, because we are a medium-sized agency, so when something big happens, everyone's a part of it. But I've always had a distinct passion for theft-related crimes, and so that led me to eventually develop a focus on scams, on thefts by deception, financial crimes, the sort of things that very few local law enforcement officers actually get to work on because they're very time-consuming, technically complex, and we just have a unique mix of personalities and skill sets at the Sheriff's Office that I've been able to learn from to develop the skills necessary to work on these cases.
Wow. Do we want to stop and just real quick and understand what mailbox death is? Is that what you said? Mailbox murders?
The high school kids drive around knocking down mailboxes. It's very inconvenient if it's your mailbox, so you tend to.
I literally was like, do they stuff people in there?
What is going on? So I looked at Ash, she looked at me, I'm like, what?
I assumed, I did it when I was in high school. I assumed that,
yes, of
it was
course
a common
I did.
experience.
Cool, I was a cool kid. No, I wasn't. Dang it.
They didn't teach us that in band.
Wow. So true. Man.
I just hit other people with my flag. It's fine.
Man, you've got 8 years. It sounds like a lot. That's in just 8 years, 7 or 8 years of what you're doing. So we're gonna jump right in. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Like specific areas of focus. So let's jump into the family and kids side of things. We all have kiddos on our side here. All the ladies that are surrounding you. Do you feel intimidated? You're sitting in the middle of us.
No,
We're all
I'm
just
fine.
staring. Okay, good. I just want to make sure you're comfortable. Okay.
Positive dominant energy, that's necessary.
I have so much anxiety and nervousness right now. I don't know what's
Are
happening.
you hiding something?
Probably
I
the
know,
most
I bet you
uncomfortable
am.
situation
Get
he's
control
ever
of the
been in.
law.
Ever. No pressure here at all.
Okay. We all have kids. and at various ages and whatnot. So I think my kids are the oldest. I have a 22 and 18-year-old, and then we've got littles here ranging from 5 to
10?
16?
Yeah. So all the things that can happen in the world of their phones and computers and all the things. So what are some of the most common dangers kids run into online today? And is this different at various ages?
Obviously, technology presents a number of challenges for parents. God only knows what I would have done in the 80s and 90s had there been cell phones and the internet available.
Thank goodness there wasn't.
Right.
Oh my
Life
gosh.
360 tracking us all day long.
So I think that we're all finding our way through it. I believe it's a very individual decision that a parent has to make based on their understanding of their child's maturity at whatever stage they are in. When my daughter was young, I always told her, or I told my coworkers that there was no way she was getting a cell phone until she was old enough to pay for it herself. However, when her mother and I went our separate ways, it suddenly became necessary for her to have one, just for the logistical concerns of co-parenting at a distance. And so I am not a early adopter of technology. I'm not great with cell phones. Fortunately, her mother does a great job of setting parental limitations on the phone. So I think that's very much a good idea. She's in middle school, obviously, as she gets older and continues to develop into the mature young lady she's becoming. At some point, she'll have to, the train wheels come off, and she'll have to make her own decisions.
Yeah.
What are some warning signs that we as parents should look for that something might not be right?
I think that with teenagers or young adults, problematic behaviors tend to cluster. So same things. When we were teenagers going out, getting into trouble, we'd be out late, come home smelling like things we shouldn't smell like, be hanging out with a disreputable crowd. All those things are still likely to cluster in children who are going through difficult times. However, we have the added challenge of that unknown factor of who are they talking to online. And it's just a sad commentary on human nature that there's really no situation where adults and children can be brought together and some portion of that adult population won't try and take advantage of the juvenile.
Yeah, I think that's the scariest thing that, even as my boys get older, it's still there. It's just, who are you talking to? Who are you trusting on different apps and things? Do you guys feel the same way from that side?
Yeah, I know, my oldest is 16 and I've got him down to 5, and it's just amazing how professionally, how many things we see or we hear. And, I feel like one of the biggest things for me, and some things that Ash and I have seen in our team, is like kind of follow the money, right? So when we talk about red flags and things that are going on, if all of a sudden there's just this spike of gift cards or something else going out, you can kind of start to question the why, if that's not a typical purchase for them, or why are they Venmoing this person this amount of money? Do they need Venmo? Things like that are hard, especially when you're in a co-parenting relationship and you're trying to navigate that balance as well. But I think one of the things that we've even seen internally is some of those sextortion scams where you believe something is real. They believe they're talking to a real person or not a real person, and they're exploiting them, and they're putting fear into them, saying that they're going to leak all of these things that may or may not be true. And between Photoshop, AI, and all of these other things, they can almost prove it to be true. I listened to a pretty powerful speaker that he said he was an information security officer, and he was like, my son fell for it because they showed him a picture of our house saying, I'm going to come to your house. And I think one of the things that I took away from that is I, as the parent, have to teach them how to be able to distinguish reality from fiction nowadays, and know when to come talk to me when they're over their head.
Right.
And to that point where they sent the picture of the intended victim's home to them, that's sort of a development, I think, that's been enabled by AI, where they're taking information that's publicly available. The program pulls an image off of Google Earth and then sends it to the person. I can tell you that one of the prosecutors here in Douglas County got that same email that, alleges you were involved in whatever sexual activity online that's going to be exposed. But instead of their home, they actually, the AI pulled their work address, so it gave a picture of the Douglas County Courthouse. So don't take anything. Yeah,
Right.
Don't assume that because there's some amount of personal information in a text or an email that the person actually knows anything specific about you.
Yeah.
Right.
I think like kids are so trusting, and I don't even know if trust is the right word. Snapchat. All of my kids are following each other. They know exactly where they're at all the time. Like, why do you want everybody to know where you're at? I can't get it through my middle-aged brain. So I'm just trying to understand, where is that, yes, trust those that you can trust, to don't trust anybody. Like, where is that balance anymore? I'm not sure if there is one.
It's like they want to know where their friends are, and they want their friends to know where they are. But when it comes to the people that are actually going to protect them, they don't want us to see. They don't want us seeing that.
Yeah. Why do you still track me?
Yeah.
Well, 175,000 of your friends are tracking you. Why can't I be? Can I be a friend? No. Okay. All right.
So, with that in mind, then, how can parents start those conversations about online safety without creating that fear? Like, I'm thinking of my 5-year-old who, right now, she's not on anything. I mean, she has her little kid's Amazon tablet, which really doesn't give you access to much. And we've got all sorts of parental controls on that. But it's like, how do you start that conversation? And I don't want to instill any fear in her, but I kind of want to instill just a little bit at some level. But again, what age should I start?
I would say that raising a child starts as soon as you have them, right? So in the same way that bad behaviors are clustered in children who are having difficulties, so are good behaviors. So if you're teaching your child about personal responsibility from an early age, that will move on into the aspects of their life as they become more capable as teenagers and young adults. But when you have specific concerns, and we all have those concerns about what are you doing online, who are you talking to, I think it's very important to have those conversations in a very direct and frank fashion. Because if you're dancing around the topic in a way that the child doesn't really know what you're talking about, then you might as well not be having the conversation, right? And if you're in denial about the fact that your little girl is going to start talking to, hopefully peers of the same age who are male, or vice versa, or whatever their particular preference is, if you're in denial about that, then they're going to go out and find the information from sources that you don't want them to.
Right.
So I think it's all about directness, and it's all about also helping them to understand that once you hit send on that photo, it's never coming back, and you have no idea how many copies of it will be disseminated until the end of time.
The end of time. Did you hear that? End of time.
The end of the internet, anyways.
I think, Liz, too, to help with that, especially when it comes to your social media apps or chatting with Snapchat, you think of your financial institutions, and we're setting our kids up, right, to succeed with being on your own.
Yeah.
Let's show that maturity. I think as parents, and I am guilty of this with my 9 and 10-year-old, is that I assume they're older than they are. And so we have very direct conversations, not to show that fear, but I don't want to assume they already know the information or who they're getting it from. So understanding what that app is capable of doing. I mean, we talk to 16 and 17-year-olds at Centris, and they assume if someone writes me a check, it's good. If they send it to me digitally, it's good, because they don't write checks anymore. They don't know what that check is supposed to do because we're not teaching it. So it's on the parent to understand what an app can do, how that can be harmful, whether it's socially harmful, or if it's financially harmful. We're just starting to assume as a culture they're getting that somewhere else. So I think that's something to consider too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any particular apps that you all use to try to, keep them safer? Or you had mentioned like some of the security pieces that you put on, or do you guys have any recommendations from that perspective?
I don't know if I have any one. I know we use like Live360, right? My kids are so young that we talk through why they want it, and we read the description.
Yeah.
And does it have a forum to be able to chat? In the news right now, you have Roblox, and my son plays Roblox, and so we're very much putting controls into place while he's there. When he's with his dad, I don't know if he does the same, but it's making sure you understand the app, I think, before you download it.
Right.
Great suggestion for sure.
I'm just kind of a hard no person at the moment because mine are young enough that I don't see a need for it at this time because they're always in our home. We don't have that co-parenting situation with them. But for some of those younger kiddos, like that 5 to 9 range, one thing that's helped us a lot, my daughter asked me for roadblocks, and I said, oh, no. And I was like, we can explain why later. And I was like, I need a minute to process that. And I think being vulnerable with your kids and letting them know, I need a minute to think about how to present this to you. And then I explained to her that not everybody is who they say they are, and people can pretend, kind of like at Halloween, or they can say they're somebody and they're not. And then it just so happenstance that some show came on TV, and it was somebody that had catfished somebody else, and it was like a sitcom. And she goes, oh, that's what that means. And then we were on our way to a volleyball tournament, and she told her friend, she goes, well, her friend said, I was talking to my friend on Roblox, and my daughter looks at her and goes, how do you know it's a her? How do you know it's your friend? And I was like, okay, so it's sinking in.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, this is not a no forever, but a no for right now.
Yep.
I need to understand this more, and we need to look into it more. And I think being honest with them, like Mike said, and just being frank was probably the best way for her to like realize what that was.
Yeah. Chad said that to me the other day about Amazon. He goes, it's not a no today or forever.
Oh, Chad told you no. Got it.
It's just a no today. You're not buying anymore on Amazon.
And then did you just hit the pay button anyway? Ship to Centris.
If you could put up a 3-time size Mike Myers poster,
He
I
did.
think you can.
Yeah, let's call him out on this.
Yeah.
Hey, Chad, don't ever do that again. Okay, we're just gonna take a real quick timeout here, right? We were talking about Halloween earlier. My husband loves scaring me with Michael Myers. I cannot handle him. It scares me to death. I walk into my garage the other day. There's this ginormous poster like behind our refrigerator. So when I opened it, that's what showed. And I may have screamed at him so that my neighbors heard.
And it was not a nice thing.
Maybe have been arrested.
Was it nice words? You didn't use
nice
all
the nice words. Oh. Okay, moving on to older adults and caregivers. Ready? Next section.
Got it.
Ready?
If you get called for domestic disturbance, just
Ignore that.
Just skip that one. You don't want to come to that one. Okay. Why are seniors and other here we go. Words can't read the
She's
question.
shorting out, folks. I may have to jump in. Just
thinking
how
about
she shorts
Michael
out,
Myers.
and then we said, yep. I think we threw in there.
Why are seniors often targeted by scammers?
Well, one obvious reason is if you're a retired person, you're probably retired because you have enough saved up and in the bank and in your various accounts to support yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas scamming an 18-year-old might get you $500 if you're lucky.
That if you're lucky.
Generous.
So that is a big part of it. Another aspect is that in the same way that my daughter is much better with her cell phone than I am with mine, if I were now 70 or 80 years old, I probably am not going to be great with the email, with the text messages, with any aspect of modern technology.
So are you somebody we're going to have to help in the future?
Well, let's hope.
Okay.
Let's hope that won't be necessary. But I'll just say there are a lot of AOL accounts associated with some of my elder fraud victims because they got an email address in 1999 and have never moved beyond that level of engagement with technology. And so when a scammer has a spoof phone number that says this is the Centris Credit Union Fraud Department, and they call them, or they send them a text message. Well, they just take for granted that it's a 402 number and it says it's Centris.
Right.
Of course. Why
Yes.
wouldn't I believe that?
Yeah.
Because they don't understand that a phone number means less than nothing in the
Right.
modern era. It's not geographically tied to anything.
Yeah.
And then just the other simple reason is that we all lose a step as we get older. It's been a number of studies. It's been scientifically validated that as we move from our 60s and our 70s and 80s, even if we're not showing outward signs of other mental decline, just our ability to make good financial decisions diminishes.
Yeah.
And so it's important to recognize that fact as we all have our pride. We're all individuals who have done what we've done with our lives, but when we get to that point, we need to turn to others to help us and to protect us.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that in my 40s. Is that bad?
I think you had also said earlier when you were putting your question and answers together, just there's a loneliness factor sometimes.
Well, yeah, again, there's been a huge increase in romance scams. You know, sometimes it's part romance, it's part investment scam.
Yeah.
Frequently it's the beautiful 28-year-old woman who is temporarily detained in another country while she gets her $10 million in gold bars moved into the U.S., but she just needs help paying
Yes.
some customs fines and fees. And now there's another country. I just need a little bit more money, but I will come and be with you for the rest of your life, and we will be rich and happy. And unfortunately, even victims who know that they're victims on some level, because maybe they've come in and made a report with their police department, maybe they fell victim to the exact same scam 2 years earlier. You can only sit at home by yourself so long if your spouse has passed on, or for whatever reason you don't have any family members close to you. And so that emotional validation that you get as a lonely senior, sometimes they'd rather have the validation than the money.
Right. Right. I know you guys have several situations that you address. Is there anything that you want to add to that question?
Little nugget. I would say in our cases that we have with our elder members that are falling for these scams is, and this goes for family members, in our line of work we have to be compassionate and understanding and educate them on a level, like Mike says, that they're going to be able to comprehend and absorb, and validating their emotion. Because when I tell them that something's not coming true, or the wire's not coming through, or it's fraud or a scam, they feel defeated, and it's like they don't add that pressure to their life. They've already got maybe a widow situation or don't have family close. So we've really tried to say, hey, maybe have someone that you have wanting on your account to help you. Is there anyone you can reach out to? Or trying to facilitate that relationship, because they might not be able to do things financially. Maybe they just need protection.
Right.
Adding that beneficiary to that account in some way.
Yeah, having that support behind you,
Yep.
right? So that someone's
So you're not losing control, but you
Right,
have
right.
some help.
Yeah,
Right.
Great advice.
And to Mike's point, like, my team does a great job with having those hard conversations on the daily, but sometimes it's overcoming I don't care about the money, I'm in it for the emotional aspect of it. And they do a good job of bringing it back to, you've worked really hard your entire life. This is yours. And you want it to go to where you want it to go to, not somebody that you don't know, where you're really not going to get anything out of it.
Right.
And so I think just thinking about that too as you're heading into those conversations, even with your loved ones, is it might not be about the money to them. It's about that companionship, and how do you then trigger that conversation, or align that conversation with that need of what they want.
And just to speak hard truths to any potential victims who are out there, I hate to tell you, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is not looking for girlfriends 20 years his senior on Facebook, nor are your favorite adult entertainers or any of your favorite actors or actresses. Celebrity impersonation romance scams are incredibly common.
You have crushed.
Not Bradley Cooper. That's
Yeah,
not-
you've crushed everything. Everything.
But you're safe now.
But
You're
I'm
welcome.
safe
now.
And I
Safe.
am safe.
Called out my financial capability of making decisions going away. If, let's say, an older adult kind of suspects that they've been scammed, what are some of the first steps that they should take?
I'll start it, and then Mike, I bet Mike will have some guidance. When we have come across cases where they've been scammed, we will try to help maybe recall a wire, depending on the product that was used, resecure their accounts, maybe get them new accounts, put some extra precaution in there. If it is a Bitcoin thing, I know maybe Mike will hit on Bitcoin ATMs, or if they've sent them in the mail or something, we really push them to report through IC3, internet crimes on the website, and then we direct them to their local law enforcement to report those crimes.
Absolutely. If the money was just sent, the most important thing is to notify the bank to see if there's anything that can be done. Timely notification to a law enforcement agency is also correct and important. The individual capacity of any agency to effectively investigate a scam, theft, is going to vary greatly. We're proud of what we do at the Sheriff's Office, and we're helping to spread the good word about it through partnerships with elected officials throughout the state, and partnerships with the Attorney General's office in particular. So the good news is that if you go to a Bitcoin ATM, which you'll find in pretty much every laundromat, vape shop, liquor store, and gas station in Omaha and many other locations around the state, know that you'll be paying them a 30% fee most of the time, which should tell you what percentage of their customer base is legitimate. But also know that Sheriff Hansen was able to work with a state legislator earlier this year. We passed LB 609, sailed through the legislature with absolutely no opposition, which speaks to how serious an issue it was. When I went down and testified, I brought up the fact, we've had victims that in one day lose $30,000. And the Bitcoin ATM operator has a camera looking right at them and doesn't ask why a half-blind 80-year-old man who's never interacted with cryptocurrency in his life is putting that kind of money into the machine. Those stories are tragic, right? I mean, that might, we've had people lose their homes. We've had elder victims actually commit suicide as a result of thefts by deception. The good news is that because LB 609 passed, the Bitcoin ATM operators are now 100% liable for the losses of fraud victims using their machines. And so there's a process. You need to report with law enforcement. We always recommend reporting also to IC3.gov, which is the FBI's online reporting portal. That is important for statistical purposes. An FBI agent is not going to call you. However, if the government doesn't know about the problem and the scale of the problem, then they're not going to apply resources to it. And then either your law enforcement agency can put you in touch, or you can directly reach out to the Nebraska Department of Banking, and that is DOB, which is short for Department of Banking, .complaints@nebraska.gov. You email them their specifics, email them a copy or a picture of your receipt, and the fact that it was fraud, and the fact that you've reported it to law enforcement, and they will facilitate a full and total refund of every single penny that you put into that machine.
That's amazing.
Also, you should save this episode and download it and bookmark it to listen to forever and always. But in the event that you listen to their November episode, this information we did put on our Member Protection Center starting in October. So we have a little recap of that too, but Mike explained it way better, and I think gave way more heartfelt information to there. But if you are potentially been a victim or know somebody that's a victim and you're looking for those step-by-step resources, listen again. But you can also check out our Member Protection Center, and we've got those steps listed out for you.
Thank you.
And it's worth noting that after we were able to get that law passed, 9 other states have followed suit that I'm aware of, Iowa being one of them. So if we have Iowa listeners, you have similar protections in that state.
Were we the first state to do this?
To be honest, I stole the idea from a law that was passed in Minnesota.
Well,
However, our Senator Bostar, let's give him credit where credit was due. He developed the Nebraska statute, kind of took the Minnesota one, shot it full of steroids, and got it through the legislature.
That's
That's
fantastic.
awesome. Yeah.
Thank you for all that work. That's a lot.
Yes.
That's great. All right, are we going into how to protect your money and identity? All right, here we go. So I know we, Liz and I, working in the marketing area, we are working with our risk team to make sure that we're communicating, what not to do. What are some of the warning signs and red flags? So talk us through some of those red flags that you see in emails or calls or texts that individuals should be wary of so that they don't get themselves into situations.
So I would divide it into 2 categories. Situations where you're participating in a crime, whether you know exactly the specifics of it or not, and situations where you are the actual victim of that crime. So if you're going to be the victim of a theft by deception, the scammers are always going to be presenting you with an urgent situation. Maybe you won the Publishers Clearinghouse, but that prize is going to disappear if you don't pay the fees. Maybe you have a relative who you haven't heard from in a couple days who's been arrested and needs bail money. Maybe they're actually in jail. I'm working one of those where they've actually been researching actual detained people and then calling their family.
Oh my gosh.
So maybe you have a warrant because you missed jury duty. That's an old chestnut that keeps coming up.
That's why you're being weird.
That's why she's anxious.
So whatever the urgent situation is, if you only found out about it from somebody who reached out to you by phone, text, email, and you don't know them, and the only solution is your money, it's a scam. Whether it's good, bad, if it's urgent and the solution is your money, it is a scam. So things not to do when you get those text messages about, oh no, your credit card's been compromised, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody's buying something with your credit card, which by the way, you're not liable for. Mm-hmm. Don't call the phone number that's in the message.
Yes.
I'd say pull out your bank card and look at the number that's on the back of it because that's why it's there. Mm-hmm. Because if you call the number that's in that text message, you are almost certainly going to talk to a scammer. Funny story, before I came here, one of my coworkers had been receiving messages from Centris.
Fantastic.
And because he works in close proximity to me, and I've dealt with so many of these situations where people are impersonating the bank and sending these messages, he just ignored it, and then finally he did the smart thing. He got on his phone, looked up a valid number for Centris, called in, and found out there was no fraud. It was something to do with the subscription renewal.
Sure.
But he knew better than to call the phone number that was reaching out to him at random,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah, it's funny. My husband will get like a text or a message from our bank every now and then, and he always immediately texts me and asks hey, did you just make a payment or did you just do this? Because I just got this text. He'll screenshot it and send it to me, and I'm like, good job. You didn't click anything.
And
yeah, he's doing good. He's doing better.
So on the topic then of when you, the bank member, are committing the crime, just know that there is never anything good that will come from turning over your debit card, your login information, or any other access to your bank account to anyone. It's an unfortunate situation that we have a number of individuals and groups over the past 4 or 5 years in the metro area who have been recruiting primarily young adults or disenfranchised people to cash bad checks for them through their bank accounts, or in more complicated schemes to receive money from legitimately compromised accounts and then pull it out by Cash App, pull it out by Apple Cash. every time there's a new development in fintech, it immediately gets exploited by criminals for money laundering. And I'll just say that, you know, the people that do that recruiting, a lot of it's on Snapchat. They say, tap in, easy money if you've got a bank account with this institution or that institution. I'm not telling Ash anything she doesn't know because she talks to a lot of these people, and then she refers them to me, and I get warrants for their arrest because they're actively participating in felonies. I've had just one case earlier this year. I put out 28 arrest warrants.
Jeez.
So if anybody thinks that they're going to get easy money out of Centris, I'll tell you, you're coming to the wrong place because there are consequences. And beyond that, the people that do the recruiting in this usually just keep all the money for themselves and leave the person who opened the account holding the debt and the criminal charge.
So, yeah, nobody's getting past Ash.
He totally gave us our title of the show for this one, for sure. Like, anybody thinks you can pass Centris. Got another thing coming.
Did they just pass, or recently passed, I think in the last 4 or 5 months, some legislation too on who can be convicted and prosecuted on like recruiters and complacency?
Yes, that was another thing that we were able to work with both lobbyists for the financial industry and, again, Sheriff Hansen and his wide field of politicians that he deals with. And yes, there are now criminal enhancements for people who are leading conspiracies of that type. And the idea being, if I recruit you, you give me your bank account, I put some checks through it, so you've now helped me steal, let's say, $7,000, and I do that with everyone else at this table, so I'm keeping almost all the money. We've all committed technically the same crime. We're all in a conspiracy to commit that crime, but I'm leading it. I should probably be the one going to jail for a longer period of time, right? So that's the idea, that's the concept behind the enhancement for recruiting, people recruiting in these crimes.
Not following what you're doing.
Nope, I am not taking your 7,000. Sorry, Mike. I don't care if you are an activity. I'm not doing it. Okay, so how, we've talked a lot about like advancements in technology, like we were talking about that with our kids and everything. So how is AI? AI is so big right now and it's gonna get bigger. How is that, what's that role it's playing into financial crimes?
So right now, I think it's primarily increasing the volume and the specificity of spam, right? The email that seems like it's directed to you or the text that seems like it's directed to you because somebody doesn't have to now type in your name and your email address. The AI is doing that for them. We talked about sextortion earlier. We are seeing in limited instances where no explicit image was actually sent by that juvenile, but one is mocked up by the scammer that they're talking to, who then says, I'm going to send this out, right? Because AI will do that for you. And so it's an increasing and developing problem. I've heard some examples of just how short a sample of your voice or your loved one's voice the AI needs to generate a moderately convincing version of you speaking on the phone. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a big problem, and we're in the early days of it.
I think, Liz, to help answer your question too, is AI is not going anywhere. It's going to get easier and better. I think Snapchat, you can like add things now where it appears that like it looks almost so real. I've gotten a few from some friends. I'm like, that's not right, no. But they look legitimate. So I think I'm old school, right? I think anyone that knows me, I go off of the caution of it's probably too good to be true. I have that trust factor based on my background. And I know in law enforcement, when I was in law enforcement, we called it condition black, right? I continue to preach that they're trying to get your consumer, your member, your victim in this condition black. But if you believe you're talking to someone, a loved one, why is it so hard to just hang up for a second? I know that would almost hurt your heart, like they might be in pain, they might be in the jail, whatever the situation, but if that seems out of character for that person, you know that person or friend, hang up. hang up on your bank. I get hang up on all the time. And then they call back and they're like, I'm really sorry. I'm like, I'd rather you hang up on me than assume something different. So I think we need to still continue to preach and teach, no matter the age. It's okay to say no, take that time, hang up, evaluate, and then make the decision. You don't have to always rush into something. And they want you to rush.
Right. They want to get off the phone just as fast, just so they can get things going, right?
Yep.
The scammers want you panicked and isolated so that you can't talk it over with someone who has experience with it, like Ash, who's going to tell you, oh no, that's an obvious scam, right?
Yeah.
They want to keep you panicked
Yeah.
until they get your money, and then they don't care.
I think people can also continue to educate themselves, right? So it used to be the old school way when you got that Nigerian letter in the mail and there was all these misspellings, that would be a red flag. That's not true anymore. It's almost like it's written too perfectly for it to be real. You need to kind of take a step back, and we need to all retrain our brains on what are those red flags, because it's changing as technology changes. And so I think that, you know, one of the things that we pride ourselves on in the department too, Centris, working with law enforcement, understanding these pieces, working with our marketing team to get this information out, is pushing out that content consistently to help people help themselves and understand that shifting landscape.
And doing the research, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we were talking about the member protection page, you know, pushing people to read that, but typically you're not going to read that unless something's happened. So how do you kind of stay ahead of that, you know, and just kind of continue to educate yourself?
Yeah, how do you get proactive with it instead of the reactive, which is sometimes not the direction they go when they react.
Yes.
They're panicked, they're upset.
Yeah, it's disengagement of the higher reasoning factors is what the scammers are aiming for. And bear in mind, they have scripts that are designed to do this. They know that if I call 10 people, one of them will go for this. But just recognize, like, non-traditional payment methods, right? Like, what business or government has ever accepted money from you in gift cards or cryptocurrency, right? You know, there are some that are just straight up trickery where a business email gets hacked and they say, you know, to another business, we're changing our payment information because we're moving to a different bank. And if you don't do your due diligence, well, maybe you wire your next payment to the scammer instead of to who you're trying to pay, right? That's pretty clever. It's a clever scam, and it's also a growing problem. But it's different from the kind that impacts the typical Centris customer, who's just a person going about their lives. That's always going to be the made-up emergency.
Right.
The made-up emergency that you can't talk to about anyone. Lie to your bank about why you're getting the money out, and then send it to us through a non-traditional method.
Yeah. Are there any other scams right now that you can talk about that are really hitting our areas that people need to be aware of?
I can tell you that the most problematic type of scam, particularly for elderly victims, are, you'd broadly term them as tech support scams. So this is not just one group in India that's doing this. This is probably 100 groups, and specifically from what I've seen online, mostly West Bengal, India. These are people who have learned how to remote into your computer by sending you a link because they worked in a tech support facility. They know how to speak English very clearly to Americans because we've exported our workforce there and taught them how to do it so that they can act in tech support. So now, if you're in this very poor country where maybe you can work in a legitimate job and make, I don't know, $100 a month, or you can really just read a slightly modified script to people who've been duped into calling your call center, and maybe you make $5,000 a month if you're successful at it. There's always going to be a certain number of people in that impoverished nation who have the skill set to do it, who are going to be willing to do it. And so what we see are emails that you subscribe to McAfee antivirus, or your purchase of this iPhone for $700. And it's just an email. It's a spam email, right? It went out to 10,000 different people that day. But again, you don't go to the source to verify. You don't go look at your bank account right away. Instead, you call the phone number. that is in that email, and now you're talking to somebody in India, and they are going to be smooth as anything. They are going to say, well, we work with the federal government, so let's get a federal agent on the line, and we're going to take down these scammers. You're going to help us do it. We're going to send you a link real quick. Just click on that, and now they have control of your desktop, and through that, they can actually, by modifying the code that is on your computer screen, they can make it look, so they're going to say, we're going to get that money refunded, right? Just log in with us. And then suddenly, that $700 they were going to refund is now $17,000 that's showing up in your checking account. But they've modified the code on your screen, so it doesn't say that they actually moved it from your savings into your checking. It says it was a refund from the antivirus company. And now they're going to say, well, I'm going to get fired if you don't send that money back to me, so let's figure out how to do that. And let's figure out what to tell your bank when we do that. And if you don't go for it and you say, well, I'm just going to keep the money, they'll say, well, we're going to call the police and you're going to be arrested. And actually, I've got an FBI agent right next to me here at the tech support company who's going to come and do it. So they will use any and all of the above tactics to get you to go and take as much money as you have in your bank account out and send it to them. Ship it. I've seen people buy safes at Walmart, program it with the code that they're told, put $40,000 in it, and ship it to a vacant house in California, where it's immediately picked up upon delivery. I've seen this group also has people convert literally their entire life savings into gold bars, hand them over to a courier. There's no trace in gold bars. That money's gone forever. This is the single most damaging type of fraud that's impacting Americans at this point. Which ones get included in the statistics determine how much money we're talking about, but certainly in the past 2 or 3 years, well over $1 billion.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So if someone does fall victim, like what should they immediately do to minimize the damage?
I think just go through the steps we've talked about, and sometimes it's successful, but I think unfortunately in those situations you just have to be real honest with them and say, we'll do what we can, we'll give you the resources we can, but unfortunately there's no guarantee, and if you have anything left, we need to put some precaution in place. How can I help you be set up for success? It's the hardest conversations to have because there's nothing we can do, and a lot of our members that we've had those exact scenarios where they take out cash, and on their conversations they're like, well, we were told to remodel our house, and that's what it says, pulling money to remodel. And then they go, I guess we can't be mad at you, we told you what we were supposed to say. So then that comes back to our department of trying to help educate our frontline staff too. Yeah. But it's like a circle,
And that's why, like, when, members come in and they're taking out something that's a little bit different, we do train our frontline staff to be able to ask those questions. And I know as a consumer of goods or as a member of Centris, like, why are you asking those questions? But we are doing it to protect you because we know that those situations are really challenging, and scammers are really good at what they do to get you to believe something. And so we're just trying to combat that at all different levels.
Yeah. Continued education, empathy, keeping them honest and trusting you. There's a lot that goes into your day.
Yeah. Well, and I think trying to, whether it's members that are listening to this from Centris or that bank maybe somewhere else, your financial isn't there to put stops in place to not allow you to do something. Right. I don't want to say no. I don't want to call Mike, which I have, and been like, I can't do anymore. Is there something you can help me? Can you go visit this member? I think seeing you, she'll finally believe me. We're partnering with law enforcement and other financials because we want to stop the pandemic of fraud, and we have to find a way to educate our members. We're not doing it to want you to hate us. We don't want to say no, but we're doing it to protect you. Like, understand where we're coming from too.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
That's hard.
They pretty much just wrapped us up.
I know.
With that last.
They did.
You're welcome.
You drop mic. I won't really drop the mic. Don't
The
worry.
mic or the microphone?
Oh yeah, I won't drop mic.
Okay. Okay.
That
would be
no.
bad.
That would probably get me arrested. I don't think I could do it. So there's that. I'm a CrossFitter, not a fighter. All right. Well, we like to end our podcast. It's called A Penny or Two for Your Thoughts. So we always like to ask our our guests a penny or two for your thoughts. What's one or two key takeaways from today's episode that you would want to leave our listeners with? I think whatever you caught is now it's contagious.
Shorting out.
I'm shorting out.
I think, remember, there's nothing that a stranger is going to email you about, call you about, or text you about that is so urgent that you can't take a step back, look up a trusted and valid phone number, and contact somebody to find out if it's real. Just know that 9 times out of 10, once your money is sent in a scam, it is gone. So always take the time to stop, re-engage those higher thinking centers of your brain, reach out to somebody who can help, and recognize that there is no urgency that isn't created by the scammer themselves.
It's very good. Ladies, you're not getting away without
Oh,
answering
Michelle's like,
this.
oh.
Michelle's not
She's like,
sure.
okay, we're done. Come on, let's go.
Okay.
She's like, Mike did it. It's fine.
I will maybe take a little bit of a different approach and let Ash kind of take the investigation side of things and the Centris side of things. But I would say, as a consumer, a member, somebody that has, any sort of money, regardless of the amount, is just making sure that you take the time to educate yourself. Take a few extra minutes to, read some of the content that's published and put out, or ask that question to help make sense, and keep informed as what's going on. Be curious about your kids, about your loved ones, and ask some of those hard questions, because it's better that it's coming from us, or it's better that I take a little bit of time to try to figure out what all of the different impacts are. What are the current scams? What are the things I can do to protect myself so I can help protect those that I love as well, like my children, my parents, and those sorts of things. So Centris has a really great resource for that. All of our frontline staff are excellent and able to help answer any questions. And then we have quite a bit of information and resources that we publish through social media, as well as on our member protection hub.
That's great.
Hi.
Wrap it up.
Wrapping it up. I would say my thing would be never think you're an inconvenience. So I am a firm believer, and I tell every single member I talk to, whether that's one for the day or 50, don't ever hesitate. Here is our number. Call Centris. We're here to help. I'm here to help. I'm available. I'll call you back if I don't have an answer. I think the biggest thing is people in today's society think they're an inconvenience for asking the questions. Don't be apologetic for asking the question, because it might save something in the future.
Wonderful. Yeah, that was a mic drop.
That was like a big bow on this episode.
Right?
Yep.
Thank you
Wow.
guys so much. The
Yes.
information you provided was absolutely so beneficial, so good. That's a great word to end on. Good.
Good.
Great. Amazing.
It's delicious, right? Just like all of the candy at Halloween. It
Yeah,
was
full
delicious
circle.
content, delicious
Full
candy.
Yes.
Full circle.
Love it
Thanks for
all.
having us back.
Thank you for joining
Yes.
us
Thank
again.
you.
And Mike, thanks so much for
problem.
just being part of this.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
We appreciate you guys, and we appreciate everything you're doing to protect our community, protect our members, and not most importantly, but importantly, our organization. So thank you guys, and thank you to our listeners. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe, and give Centris a follow on the socials, because we're real. And plus, it'll just help others find us if you rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast, so they can get this great information and hear from Deputy Mike. I'm gonna throw that in there one more time. And our, yeah, I just want to slide that in there one more time. Anywho, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.